normally something I would do, okay, with these little discs. And I was even going to do it with the disc here, but then I realized they're in black and white because one of the discs is red and the other disc is yellow. But on the thing, they must probably look pretty much the same. So what I decided to do instead is I decided to use an open circle, meaning positive, and a closed circle, meaning negative. And again, this would be much better if you had the little disc in your hand and you could feel them, because that's the purpose of this way, is to physically feel it. But you can kind of see it too. By the way, if you have checkers at home, red ones and black ones, you could let the red checker be positive and the black checker be negative, and you could do this physically on your own while we did it. Okay, by the way, you could go get your checkers, you could pause this, go get your checkers and come back, or you could look at this again when you have your checkers in your hand. Or you can just follow along with what I'm trying to say here. Because now if I had a positive 2 plus a positive 1, a positive 2 would be 2 open circles, plus a positive 1 would be 1 open circle. And then if you put those together, you would wind up with 3 positive circles, which would become a positive 3. All right? And if you had a negative 2 plus a negative 1, you could take 2 closed circles, that would be a negative 2, plus 1 closed circle, that's a negative 1. And if you put that together, you wind up with 3 closed circles. And again, since the closed means negative, that's a negative 3. And again, this proves just like the other one did, when you have the same signs, you just use your addition facts and bring down the sign. So a positive 2 plus a positive 1 is a positive 3. A negative 2 plus a negative 1 is a negative 3. Now the one that, again, is a little bit more tricky is if you want to add a positive plus a negative. So if I added a positive 2 plus a negative 1, all right, that would be 2 open circles plus 1 closed circle. Now again, if I was to put 2 open circles and 1 closed circle together, I would wind up with 2 open circles and 1 closed circle. And that's not either positive or negative. That doesn't make any sense. But what we need to understand here is that we could regroup this with the positive and the negative together and the other circle by itself. And when you do this, these are opposite. Isn't a positive 1 and a negative 1 opposite each other? And again, we call opposite the additive inverse. And I didn't tell you this earlier when I taught you about additive inverse. I just told you it meant the opposite. But the actual definition of additive inverse says additive inverse is the number you add to a given number, horrible G, given number, to get an answer of 0. And again, from what, excuse me, if you have 1 and you owe 1, or if you have a positive and a negative, 1 to the left and 1 to the right, then they cancel each other out. And that's why they give 0. So if you cancel this out, a positive 2 plus a negative 1, one of the positive circles with one of the negative circles cancel out, leaving you just with 1 positive circle. And that's why a negative 2 plus a negative